An enemy inhibitor is under attack. An enemy inhibitor is under attack. An enemy inhibitor is under attack. An enemy inhibitor has fallen. The enemy core is under attack. Your skill rises. An allied tower is under attack. Skill rises. The enemy core is under attack.
Hold it together while I'm gone.
Attack. An enemy inhibitor is under attack. The enemy core is under attack.
Purge ready.
The enemy core is under attack. An enemy inhibitor is under attack. Enemy inhibitor has fallen. The enemy core is under attack.
In ancient Egypt. All right, this should have a long list of things that are going to kill you. I love learning and teaching Egyptian history, so I'm looking forward to this one. Original video link is down below. Let's get this channel up. Make sure you're subscribing to them. Tell them I sent you, and let's check this out. All right, down the wormhole. Here we go.
Well, now you've done it. You fell down a weird witch's wormhole and landed yourself in ancient Egypt. So, can you survive?
Which period? Which period? Which kingdom are we going? All right, we old, middle, new?
Let's find out.
What's your favorite kingdom, by the way?
The first thing you might ask is, which ancient Egypt? Because the entirety of ancient Egypt spanned across several thousands of years with quite a few different eras. Let's go with, the iconic New Kingdom,
Okay.
the height of Egyptian power and
Biggest one.
influence, and the most documented for research purposes.
Let this be an
How
honest
convenient.
fight.
Since you made it to this video, I'm
Watch
going to
over
assume
me
that you're not a
and my
literal
allies
mouth-breathing,
this
knuckle-dragging, fragile infant.
Hey,
So you can give yourself a
don't
pat on
presume.
your freshly whipped back, because you've already survived the hardest part, childhood.
Okay, so first off, New Kingdom, like he said, okay, the three major kingdoms, it is the one that had the largest expansion. This is when the Egyptian Empire is really an empire. They're going up towards Mesopotamia. They're going into those lands and conquering those peoples. And some of the first treaties and documentation that we have of with historians really recording wars and stuff like that comes from that time period. You may have also heard of Ramses, probably the most famous, influential ruler. This is his heyday as well. So this is a magnificent time period for that. If you love big, grand empires, yeah, this is it. Now, however, most of what you probably think about Egypt came out of the Old Kingdom, say like the idea of pharaohs, and most importantly, the pyramids. They weren't really building those in the New Kingdom. They were by the New Kingdom. They were building, temples and stuff like that. But the pyramids, those are actually the oldest time period.
Being a kid wasn't easy. Since they didn't have any fancy beeping machines to hook moms up to and keep babies alive, infant mortality rates were extremely high. 20 to 50% of babies didn't make it out the womb. If you survived being born, next up was surviving the world, much harder. With things like disease, hunger, and other environmental factors out to get you, it's not going to be a stroll through Easyville. I mean, some of these kids look so frail you could practically see their blinking health bar. Hang in there, guys.
They need stims.
Your main
They need stims. Yeah, so, the modern day mortality rates that we see today really didn't start until the Industrial Revolution. We're talking only within the last 150 years or so. And that is because a lot of the medical procedures, of course, that we use for childbirth, but also just the way that people are generally healthier, usually because it's a simple scientific fact. If people are healthier, especially a woman, her baby is going to be healthier. And so when you have more food production, of course, that came out with like industrialization. Now, no knock on the Egyptians. They were some of the first agriculturalists we've ever had. So comparatively to a lot of other places, they're going to have better mortality rates and infant survival rates than other places because they're a breadbasket of civilization. So props to them. But yeah, it's going to take a long time till we get our modern day statistics for birth.
duty as a kid is to help out the family that brought you into this world. We're talking chores, taking care of your siblings, protecting the farm, learning the
Most
family
people were
business,
peasants.
everything necessary for survival. As far as
Most
food,
people were peasants, as is also the case until well, I shouldn't say peasants, but working in agriculture all the way until the Industrial Revolution as well, all the way till, again, 150
it's
years
whatever
ago.
mama and papa could scrape together, which is mainly bread, milk, fruits, and veggies. Ever have half an onion on dry bread with warm milk? It's actually pretty disgusting, but it's what keeps you growing. Because if you don't eat,
I always forget.
well,
I mean, always.
And hey, if
Understand
your
the
papa
diversity
has a
of
high enough
diets
fishing
just
level, he could bring
non-existent.
home a pretty sweet catfish to tear into. Get that protein.
Gross.
Your mother,
Okay.
assuming she survived slopping you out of her belly, would feed and care for your ungrateful ass. But none of that is applicable since you just got orphaned by the space-time continuum. Before we take a look at what to do next, let's see where you would fit in the grand scheme of society, because everyone has their place. Ancient Egyptian society worked in
got
a
the hierarchy,
hierarchy
nice.
with rich and powerful guys at the top and everyone else
pharaoh.
at the not top. So really no change from the modern world. The head honcho around these parts is the pharaoh. He's the divine king and whatever he says goes. Subscribe. Just under him are
Subscribe to my channel too. There's so many of you watching my stuff that aren't subscribing, and you're missing so much. I post basically every day. I post something every day, and I got a lot. I want you around in my community. So, but yeah, Pharaoh is it's a theocracy, meaning religion and state are part of the same thing. Hey, here's I tell my students beginning of the year, it's like, hey, this whole school year is going to be about you learning how to make your own empire. How do you be one of the most infamous rulers in history? We're going to look at all these things from history. Here's step one. All right, if you want power. I don't know how you're going to do this. Convince the people you're a god. If you do that, your power structure will be much stronger.
his closest bros and advisors. Then we have an educated and skilled middle class, and then a laboring lower class.
Okay, let's be more specific. Who are the bros? A lot of them are priests. They are priests. Now, remember, in ancient times, people believed, and the Egyptians were part of that you could intervene with the gods. They were polytheistic, believed a lot of gods. So that means that if you believe that there are people that can't actually interact with the gods and say, bring in a better growing season, or give you fortune during war, those people are going to get a lot of respect. So a lot of those are like priests, scribe types. They're at the elite. But then soldiers. Now, soldiers were not just common folks. They were professional soldiers from the noble classes. They came from upper classes. That usually meant they owned land, which means they could be freed up to be able to pursue things like be a professional soldier or a scribe. Now, if you're one of the few ones that isn't in agriculture, you might be one of these merchants or craftsmen that sell that stuff. So you got that, and the bottom farmers. What we don't have on here is slaves. There was a slave class in Egypt.
Class with slaves and servants at the bottom, which were usually foreign prisoners of war. Since there's a 95% chance that you'd stick out like a turd in a punch bowl amongst a well-tanned, weird-talking population, you'd probably be captured and sold into slavery.
Fun fact, it does not seem the fact that slaves built the pyramids. So that's Old Kingdom, remember. We have a lot of evidence that they were
They think they
compensated.
could take
Beer, barley, that kind of thing. Now, who was doing this? It was farmers, like, farming people that were in the off season. Okay, they're in the season during the growing where you don't have to be harvesting or planting. That's usually when they provided their services in the labor force for the pyramids, was during that off season.
Tough break, outsider. But let's assume you can convince the xenophobic guards that you're one cool dude. Hey, I'm one cool dude. It worked.
Perfect
Time to get a job.
Egyptian.
time.
Oh
Since you
man.
can't speak Wingdings 3, you're gonna have to prove your worth through manual labor. Luckily, there's plenty of jobs to choose from, like farming and... Over 90% of all ancient Egyptians were farmers, so there's plenty of friends and rivals to be made. See who can grow the best onions or whatever it is farmers did for
Yay.
fun.
Wheat.
Finger each other's cabbages, I don't know. But your absolute best friend is the Nile River, which is your #1 source of delicious brown water for your crops. Just don't taste test it. Thankfully, the application process to work on a farm.
There's some feeding waters, but not a lot. Those headwaters come from Central
endless.
Africa. There's a few oases and stuff like that that are nearby. But yes, most people again are farmers. But yeah, labor. And see if you get into this, because I have heard, and I'm gonna add a statistic probably later here. Actually, it fits now, because something kind of crazy that I remember learning is in the graves that we find around pyramid areas and towns that were built up to build the pyramids. Again, this is Old Kingdom. If I remember right, the rate of people that die, or they looked at the bodies and stuff, but it seems to have been an injury, like serious injury is taking place. It's something like 25% or something. That might be a high stat. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember when I heard it, it was crazy to think about how many serious injuries there were of people in that time period that likely, again, working on pyramids and stuff like that.
Farm is no more than moving a rock from here to there. And with your stellar gamer build, you can easily get the job done.
Do the king.
Just remember to lift entirely
Goose.
with your back. As a bonus, you can read and write, not in hieroglyphics, but in cooler things like letters and numbers, perfect for taking your own notes. You're hired. Now you can get to work and earn that bread. But since the Persians haven't invaded yet and introduced proper currency, you'll be working for literal bread. So you slave away for months on Bahir's family wheat farm, eating your brown bread and sandy beer dinners while sleeping on a filthy, crusty, dusty dirt floor. Watch out for snakes, they bite.
Oh my gosh, there's bad.
Day in and day out, you
famous story, right, of Cleopatra, who's Greek, by the way, a part of that Ptolemaic dynasty, basically Alexander the Great's, his people coming in and ruling for years. But yeah, died by an asp, right, like a suicide with her lover Mark Antony. Oh man, all the stuff around the Nile is dangerous too. They got the freaking crocodiles. Oh my gosh, aren't there hippos down there? Like, yeah, it's like basically the Nile and the area around it is basically the continent of Australia.
Your sickles and your hoes, dreaming about the hoes you left behind, taking extra caution not to get too distracted. Oh, looks like you cut off Bahir's arm. Bahir will remember that.
Super common evidence.
It's then you look down and notice some squishing between your toesies. The ground's getting rather moist. Ah, the Nile's flooding. You say to no one. After you finish fighting off the invading river rats using your +7 strength copper sword, it's time to pause the farming grind and try your hand at construction while...
So, the Nile flooded every year at literally the same exact time every year. They could predict it within a few days. And it was awesome because so many rivers in the world, the good rivers that bring in a lot of nutrients, which is what like the Nile did, a lot of them don't flood very predictably, and when they do, it's a very sudden rush that is very destructive. Say just go up to the Egyptians' neighbors up in Mesopotamia, the Tigris and Euphrates. Those are unpredictable and violent floods, and when those come, I mean, they have some benefit, but like they're cursing the gods because they're like, gosh, because they believe the gods control that stuff. You guys are cursing us here, and actually it leads to the religious beliefs of Mesopotamians, people like the Sumerians, who thought their gods were angry and like were always punishing you because it looked like natural disasters are always coming down on you. But with the Nile, since it was a calm flood and it was predictable, they loved it. To them, the gods were awesome, so they had the end, they could prepare for it, and that's why it was so productive. All right, construction time.
Oh look, the pharaoh wants you to help build a new pyramid. Lucky you.
Didn't do that in New Kingdom though.
Since you have countless hours placing virtual cobblestone under your belt, this sounds like a pretty sweet gig. Just keep an eye out, because sometimes it's not yourself that you need to watch out for.
What's crazy when you look at the timeline of Egyptian history, which again is like 3,000 years, is to these people that we're looking at now, like the New Kingdom people, the pyramids were ancient to them. Like we're closer in time to some of those. That's crazy. Like to some of those people that lived during the New Kingdom, like us. Okay, especially like the Greek time, like they're closer to us than they were the ancient Egyptians. Isn't that nuts?
It's just part of your worry though, because you still have
the biggest killer of them all.
Diseases like slaves are the hot and trending collectible at the time. You could even trade them to your friends if you're feeling generous enough. I got trachoma. Well, I've got first edition smallpox. Check it out.
Yeah. And you're dead.
With your 21st century wrinkle brain, you know that you need to keep clean to prevent disease. So you take a dip in the Nile to wash your many crevices. Just downstream of the laundry, which is downstream of the town's dumping grounds.
Is that, hold on.
Looks like you picked up a friend.
Hold on. Is that like the Halo ring? Like the Halo? You know, they live on a halo back there? Is that what's going on there? Okay, now you're going to get diseases crawling up your
downstream of the town's dumping grounds. Uh-oh, looks like you picked up a friend. A parasitic flatworm went and crawled up your roundworm. And now you have schistosomiasis. With that comes a fever and aggressive diarrhea. And since we're in ancient times, you know what that means. But little wriggling worms aren't the only threats.
They had surgery.
Like the infected fellas a minute back found out, there were many different diseases sickening up the land. The most popular being tuberculosis, smallpox, and malaria. These guys...
Malaria, yeah, any place you're going to have wet places like that. They're showing here like some surgeries. So I don't know if this is this one specifically that you can see back here. Let's go back to this. One of the things that the Egyptians were innovative of was cataract surgery. Actually, now I don't know what they were if they actually took out a lens. So the cataract is when the lensing of your eye clouds. It gets some calcium or whatever buildup gets in there, and it can cloud your vision. It can essentially blind you. But we have evidence that they performed cataracts. I don't know exactly how that did, and I think there's like brain surgeries. For an ancient people, they were some of the best at surgeries. that we have seen.
Popular being tuberculosis, smallpox, and malaria.
Those are some of the biggest
These
killers in
guys
the world.
can make sure that your stay in ancient Egypt would be a quick one. So be sure to swat some skeeters and tell your neighbors to cover their costs for raw sake. Oh, sorry, I thought that there was a mosquito on you. Yeah, you too. Anyway, you get back to chiseling some sandstone blocks and, oh, looks like you caught Pharaoh checking out the goods. He admired your strong physique, attention to hygiene, and glistening back sweat. He even heard about your conquering of the river rats, and he's impressed. Those are some good qualities. Good qualities for a soldier.
Good for...
You just got bumped up a few societal ranks. Look at you go. Oh, Pharaoh wants to expand his empire. Well, now your promotion makes sense.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably still a much better life for those workers and those the construction workers and peasants, especially when Egypt was so dominant so long. They were very successful in those. And yeah, like, you know, injuries and obviously battle wounds, you guys understand also before the medical inventions of the, Industrial Revolution, you died more from your wounds and like some kind of disease or animal gangrene, something like that, than actually dying on the battlefields that way, because if you got something and it got infected, you were done.
Time to go to war.
Okay, who are we fighting this time?
Being a soldier can't be too hard, right? You just pick up a shield and a sword and swing it a little. After all, people are just bigger rats. Oh, sweet, they even have the cool curved swords.
Curved swords?
It's called a khopesh, and boy does it hurt. But if swinging a sword ain't your style, you could opt for something a little less slashy and a little bit more stabby. If you want to poke someone further away, but still want to be close enough to revel in their death, I recommend a spear or javelin. If you really have the urge to stab someone at least 1,000 scarabs away, go for the simple and sweet bow and arrow.
Yeah, so the chariots and stuff probably came in from the Hittites? Were the ones that came in? They came in, that's like Middle Kingdom stuff. The fall of the Middle Kingdom. The Hittites came in, and they were some of the earliest pioneers of ironworking. And they had horses, and they bring chariots, and then the chariots in the New Kingdom used chariots too. So one of the first mobile type of warfare like this. Very cool.
It never fails. Unless you miss. All right, time to step onto the sandy battlefield and fight for a country you just fell into. The enemies of the day are the sea people. No one really knows who they were, and they most likely came from somewhere north of the Mediterranean.
They ended the New Kingdom.
Give a good gosh damn. They've been flaunting their stupid-looking
About 1000
for the
BC.
last time.
Fuck you, Egypt!
Oh, it's so on. Now,
They're the ones who destroyed a whole lot of stuff. So everyone in the Eastern Mediterranean has fallen. The Mycenaean civilization's going to collapse. Actually brings it eventually it's end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age. And then once the Greeks, by the way, that we know of, really are going to kind of take that place in that peninsula. But also over in Mesopotamia, all those different civilizations all collapsed, and it was within about 50 years. We think about 1000 BC to about 1050 BC, and we don't know who these people were. They invaded from somewhere, it seems, west. We still don't know. It's one of the great mysteries there that led to the devastation and collapse of multiple civilizations. Writing, like cuneiform, basically like one away. And it was kind of a little mini dark age for a while.
first thing you're going to want to do is... Oh, damn. All right, let's try that again.
If you got pierced by an arrow, you're done.
Okay, quick
You're
time
gonna
dodge the arrow, fire your own. Ooh, nice shot. Dark, stable flight.
Get him.
Ugh, right on target. Good job murdering that guy with absolutely no complex backstory or family that he was fighting to protect from invaders. To him, you were the bad guy. But hey,
Oh wait, he's the...
you keep popping off
the sea
shots
people?
and taking out numerous expendable enemy NPCs. While you continue to just riddle the battlefield with arrows, you notice something in your peripheral. Not something, someone. Oh, hey Bahir, didn't know you were a soldier. Oh, thank God. It was just a dream.
All right, that was a very fun and clever video. That was fun to see all the stuff animated there. That was great. So hopefully that was super informative. Hopefully I was a good guide for you there and able to add some stuff. Again, I love ancient history. I love Egyptian history. So it's always fun for me to come around and be able to get a chance to talk to you guys and teach you guys as well. So, all right, I hope to see you guys around more. Make sure you're subbing to the channel. Check out my community page here on YouTube. I'm putting up polls more to put videos up that are getting suggested to me over on the Discord server, which is where I take most of my suggestions, and getting that to you guys so you guys can have a little bit more say about what gets on here. And with that, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
allied tower is under attack.
I'm gonna link
An
ya.
allied tower is under attack. He has been slain. An enemy tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Double kill. An allied tower is under attack. An allied